Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello, welcome back inside the Park for May for podcast number 950. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
You know what we do on race weekends. Come on.
We watch one, then we talk about it. Then we watch one, then we talk about it. Come on, Todd.
That's exactly what we do, but we're going to be talking about the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend because that just happened. And before I do that, though, I reckon I ought to get somebody that knows a heck of a lot more about racing than I do. So that's why I happen to go to the sporting manager of the Heart of Racing, Aston Martin team.
Ripped from out of the wasteland. He's bad. He's beautiful. He's crazy. It's...
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charles Lee, the International.
I get the International. Why wouldn't I go talk to the International?
Yeah.
That's what we do. Paul, I gotta say, I was kind of swamped. I didn't get to see the Road America, but I got to see the nose of the GT3 Vantage, and that didn't look good. And I also, and
the back and the side,
yeah, and the
other
side.
side.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you got a little beat up out there in GT, but here's the plus: best finish ever, P6 for the Valkyrie.
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome. First
And not
year of
lucked
the
into
program.
it either. And not lucked into it. It was a fully competitive P6, and we thought we could have maybe got the Penske Porsches, but traffic and some other things. We got a piece of shrapnel stuck on the front of our car, which kind of hurt us a little bit at the end there. So Roman lost a little. He lost downforce points, Todd. Downforce
you lost points.
Yeah.
You probably lost 2 or 3 points in that.
Yeah, lots of points. And so
you just need to tell Roman to throw the towel you left in there out the window. That seems to give you a couple points an arrow. I don't know.
Yeah, so it was a really good showing. Really, I knew the track,
it was good.
or I hoped. You don't never know anything.
Yeah.
But, that this was going to be one of the great tracks for the V12, and it was. So,
yeah.
Very competitive, sharp, pointy end. Pulled our way through some cars to get there too. So fun.
I mean, kudos to BMW. What, they get a 1-2 first one of the season?
Yeah, right after they kicked Ray Hall out. So
yeah.
I'm sure he's happy about that.
I'm sure he is real happy about that.
Yeah, so. the GT fight was a brawl. It wasn't even a race. It was a brawl.
Oh my gosh!
And we weren't the only car to come a cropper. But it's as the season gets closer to the end. The gobs start coming off. And,
well, let's be honest. We're just waiting for that at McLaren with Lando and Oscar.
Yeah, we are waiting for that. Yeah. And I think Oscar may be the first one to pull the trigger on that. But
I think he's going to be the first one to throw fists.
I think so. Yeah. So at least. We're in the top 3 in championship, fighting it out with 2 other teams, and we were fighting them on track as well. So it got a little feisty, or a lot feisty. Some words were said after the race, so that's exciting.
That's good.
I said, come visit us. I'll be happy to talk to you about this subject. So we'll see how that evolves.
Don't they know you're a South London boy? You're an Essex boy? You're from Kent,
man.
damn it.
I'm going to bring my cricket bat and everything. Bite your kneecaps.
Yeah, you'd be like the manager of Spinal Tap. With your cricket bat, it's you won't like Paul when he's angry.
No, you actually won't.
It's not good.
It's not pleasant.
My. Yeah, but good. That was good on merit, though. I was excited to see that for the Valkyrie. That was really good because it wasn't like there was lots of attrition. You just kind of inherited that. But, But the pace was there.
It's become a pretty popular car at this point. One guy even he came to the track on Friday, listened to the car, watched the car, got a tattoo of the Valkyrie on himself. Yeah, that's commitment to a V12.
That is commitment.
Better than you than me, Sonny. But
that's not even a commitment that you're willing to make at this point.
No, it's not.
That's funny. I mean, you might get James Hunt, number or something.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah. That's crazy. Did you get a chance to sneak in the Hungarian Grand Prix?
No, I didn't. I missed the whole thing.
Oh, missed the whole thing? Okay.
Yeah,
we're just going to go off my notes.
Yeah, well, I told you that some people, quite a few who listen to the podcast and friends of people who listen to the podcast were coming by, and at as we urge people to do. So that was fun to meet everybody and hang out. And sometimes see people. But one of them said, as busy as you are, I feel like sometimes you're not watching the race, you're just making it up. I said, no, that's not true. I said, sometimes I see them in pieces, but I do see all the races. I don't make it up, no, for sure.
No, that's true. I happen to know that that's true. You do watch the races. You may not get free practice 3 in.
No, I may not get all the pre-race interviews.
Right.
But
yeah, or the Thursday press conference with all the drivers commenting. You may not get
definitely don't usually get that either.
No, but you do get the race watched.
Meat and potatoes, I at least get that in. I try to get other stuff in too, because there's interesting. But man, I had a little time before the race because unfortunately I had to go to the track once the race exactly started. But there's a lot of talking goes on by Sky before the race. I'm like, wow, you got to talk about filler, you know.
I know.
You also Martin up with in a helicopter and talk about it.
I know.
Endlessly for a very long time. It's like, okay, I'm not missing much.
Yeah, I will say this weekend, I guess I'm a little on record. They brought in new people this year, last year, whatever it was, and but this weekend they had Jamie Chadwick, and I think Jamie Chadwick did a really good job. She added a lot to the conversation. She knew what she was talking about. She, and it was actually really good driver insight and that kind of thing, as compared to Naomi and others. And it just, I thought that was refreshing. I think she did a great job.
I agree, and she's driven an F1 car. She does the sim stuff. So yeah, she can. She's on the inside.
Yeah,
so,
she's on the
inside.
inside.
She can open some eyes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought, she was additive to the broadcast in the deeper insight, whereas in just being, observational or whatever, or just anyway, I won't dwell on it, but she did a great job. I think.
Very good.
Anyway, let's talk about the Hungarian Grand Prix. What was the talk? What was time for go to bed? What were the talking points coming into this weekend? Well, track temps were, it was sunny, hot, track was hot, wind going one direction. Qualifying, Q3, wind at a 180. And McLaren said that caught him out. Everybody had mentioned it. But then we had cloud cover. So the track temps were kind of up and down, right? And then we had a few rain showers like overnight or earlier in the morning. And so it was a bit of a green track. And so that certainly was the talking point. And you would assume, and I would think that it bore fruit. The cooler the track temps, the better some cars would do. And I'm looking at George Russell. And the hotter, maybe others would do. But, it was interesting. Certainly looked like McLaren had everything in hand. And if you consider that they won the race by over 20 seconds, they clearly did have things in hand. But it makes you wonder what happened on Saturday where Charles Leclerc takes pole, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Even that first half of the race, when Charles looked like he had pace in hand over the McLarens. And, of course, they were settling in for a 70-lap race, as you do, managing tires and that kind of thing. So I can't say that they were just hounding him. But still, I think even McLaren said, maybe it was Zach, said, even when Oscar started to push, Charles answered. And they thought
right. Yeah, if you remember that. Yeah, they told him to push and he didn't make any inroads. So. Right.
I thought that was interesting. And kind of same could be said true of Lando when he was trying to get around George. George had the pace. So that was the first test. Well, that was certainly the talking point. It's a tricky circuit, Paul. And what an amazing facility. What an amazing job they've done in completely redoing the whole facilities and grandstands.
Yeah.
It just looks beautiful. Kind of smacks of that Red Bull Ring, sort of thing. And
it does, yeah.
Yeah, it just...
Yeah, I mean, it is quite a track. It's very kart-like in layout.
Yeah.
So all these guys come from karts, so I think they kind of know how to handle it. But it definitely is from left to right to left to right, and not too many long straights. And unfortunately, different from karts, the aero comes into play a bit more heavy than that kart track. But it's definitely you have to build up a rhythm in the circuit to be fast.
For sure. And they were celebrating their 40th anniversary. Yeah, so that's awesome. I've been
a lovely anthem.
Oh my gosh, I posted a picture of that. If you weren't moved by the Hungarian anthem with the young lady that sang that, good grief. What a beautiful. That's got to be in my top 3 list of anthems in F1 that I've heard over all the years, you know.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Beautiful. Beautifully sung, just a beautiful piece with the kids and everybody playing the instrument. It just, I thought it was wonderful. So, the big talking point certainly is down to McLaren. I think everybody knows that. There was, 16 points between Oscar and Lando, something like that, heading in there. And then the other talking point was all the self-deprecating comments that Lewis made after qualifying. He's like, oh, no, I suck. They need to change the driver. It's just Lewis being Lewis. So, he wears his heart on his sleeve. And to be fair to Lewis, that's a pretty tough situation, qualifying P12 and your teammates on pole, right?
Yeah.
That's tough. And that's a tough situation.
It is a tough thing because, obviously he came in with lots of ambition to do things at Ferrari and hasn't kind of worked out for whatever reasons we don't know. But
yeah, I don't know what exactly is going on. Just hope they turn that around. Another big surprise of the weekend, Paul, has to be Aston Martin. My gosh.
Yeah.
They brought those upgrades at Spa, tried them, said they didn't necessarily produce the results that they were hoping. Didn't use them in Spa, show up in Hungary, and boom, this track, it just favored that chassis, favored those upgrades.
Yeah.
What a great qualifying.
Yeah, well, couldn't be more different a track, really, could it?
Yeah, what do they call it? Monaco without the walls, right?
Yeah, so, definitely, with Spa, where you're full throttle for so long, and in Hungary, you're barely full throttle for a very tiny bit. So, definitely chassis, grip, downforce plays into play there, whereas at Spa, you're trying to trim it out as far as you can.
Yeah. Did you have Gabi Bordoletto making it to Q3 on your bingo card?
I'm starting to.
I'm telling you.
I'm starting to. He's done a very, very good job. Came in
really
kind of quiet, wasn't all the fanfare of the Beermans or
Hadjar.
Hadjar kind of came in without anyone really knowing anything either, but he's definitely staked his claim on another rookie that's really excelling in the first season.
No doubt. Very excited. We'll cover that team when we get there. Let's just jump off the sharp end of the grid. Let's talk about McLaren first. Lando Norris, P1, Oscar Piastri in P2. Lando got a good start, braked early into turn 1, Paul. And I don't know, I didn't go back and really parse that out. I was thinking that, in my mind, tell me where I'm wrong, because I didn't really go look at it that closely, but it seemed like he went into turn 1. It looked like he had a decent position, but it was one of those deals where the doors closed and then, everybody got the different inside line and he just kind of got hung out to dry a little bit. And then he fell back 2 places. So this left a lot of work to do. And, Piastri got ahead. And so you had Piastri, who now is the lead McLaren, he gets to the favoritism on box, so he boxed first. So the tactics at that point, Paul, for Lando was, as I said before we started recording, one of the things I really enjoyed about this race was as you guys do, Paul, at Heart of Racing, you go into every race with strategy. But that strategy can be impacted, and then then you're into the tactics, right? You're reading the race, you're reading the competition, the weather, the track, and all these things crop up, and strategies and safety. This is all about tactical, situational awareness, and a
lot of chatter going on, I'm sure, as you say, on our side when we're doing that. There's a whole bunch of people with a lot of opinions going on sometimes.
Yeah. And at some point, Ian's got to make a call, right? Yeah, so it's what I was really impressed with on Lando's side of the garage is that they read that right. And I think Sky even had it right. I think Crofty and Martin said, look, at this point he's destined to 4th. Actually it would have been 3rd because of the Ferrari Leclerc. But that switch to one stop, really put Lando, put the cat amongst the pigeons at the front. And he had to deliver, right? So he was leading after the 2 stoppers made their last stop for fresh tires, and it gave him a 9-second lead over Oscar. Now, it was at that point really all down to Lando at that point. He's had to manage his tires for, 35, 40 laps, whatever it was. And he did just that, fending off a very aggressive Oscar Piastri in the last 5 laps to take the win and reduce Oscar's points lead to just 9 heading into the summer break. It was a fantastic result. And he said, quote, "We weren't planning on a one stop at the beginning, but after that first lap, it was the only option to challenge the cars around us. I knew our pace was good, even to the first stint behind George, so I knew I could push in clean air. It's always a gamble, but it also requires no mistakes, good laps, good strategy, and good pit stops, and that's what we had today," end quote. I think he summed it up perfectly, but I just think it was a fantastic drive for Lando.
It was, even though, he's a strategist, told him, stop making mistakes.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
he did.
necessarily the most encouraging verbiage to use for a driver,
Right.
Maybe refocus would be nicer than stop making mistakes, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I've got a comment on this on the start there.
Yeah.
Because it's not the first time we've seen him back off a little bit, and he kind of makes a commitment against Oscar, and he loses out more than just to Oscar.
Yes.
On the run out, right? I think it's happened at least 3 times this year. I mean,
I think the comment was he braked early into turn 1.
He did brake early, but it's because Oscar saw what he was trying to do and kind of got in his way. But because he was so committed to trying to do that to Oscar, that he ended up losing 2 more positions because of it. And just something to think about. This could be the undoing of Lando Norris. We've talked about how important qualifying is, and getting that position and those decisions as the lead car in the team on strategy. He needs to analyze that quite a lot. There's no doubt he's got pace once you're out there running laps, and any day he could be quicker than Oscar and vice versa. But these starts have really put him on his back foot. It worked out at Hungary, but doesn't always work out. So you got to cover your bases there. Don't leave yourself hanging for other cars to get in your way and completely ruin your race.
Yeah. It's you and I've talked about this over the years ad nauseum, and I remember even talking to drivers about it, Alan McNish in particular, about the starts and how critical those are. And as you've always said, Paul, you go into a race and you have a plan, but you have to react in real time because you never know.
Well, you have a plan A, B, C, and D, quite honestly, because you've been through enough starts. You know what can arise coming down into a turn, especially if you've been to that track before many times. Yeah. And so you've got to, because there's one thing to react to something, there's another thing to have a different plan and then execute that. That's a lot more successful usually, though, rather than just reacting to a situation.
Right.
Which is what Alan was always talking about.
Yes. Yeah, it's exactly right. It's exactly what he talked about. Maybe there's a little work to be done on the starts there for him. But
I mean, that's going to be the difference in them. They're close in pace. Qualifying is very important, but qualifying only gets you to turn 1 in the position, right? And so you have to either back up your qualifying position or try and make up for maybe a bad qualifying all at the start.
Yeah. There was I was on TalkSport over the weekend, as I do, and it's a question about the battle between Lando and Oscar, and certainly the kind of the commentary I see is that if it weren't for Lando's unforced errors that he's had, he'd be leading the championship. And, okay, maybe that's true, and I'm talking in particular about the Belgian Grand Prix here. And they said, that he'd be leading the championship. But in some ways, I think that also does a disservice to just how good Oscar Piastri is,
Right.
To say that, Lando, if he didn't have enforced errors, he'd be leading the championship and Oscar wouldn't. It's a disservice to Oscar. And we almost saw it again in Hungary, right? And I'm not even sure you could slide a playing card between the two of them as far as pace and performance right now. They're so equally matched, And I feel like, the races for the balance of the year are going to come down to a rock, paper, scissors or a coin toss. It's so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. But on vice versa, I know we're going to move to Oscar here.
Yep.
And on that moment we're talking about where Oscar's making that dive bomb move inside Lando, which he's now at least tried twice.
Yeah.
We saw it at the Red Bull Ring, where he tried to make that big lunge on the inside.
Yeah.
Didn't make up. He had to lock up. He went wide. He lost gap. He lost pace. He's probably took some sheen off his tire as well. I think, as much as I'm saying Lando has to rethink how he approaches those starts, I think Oscar has to rethink how he approaches his battle with Lando on track, because I don't think he's done a brilliant job in sizing Lando up, making those passes. That he's been near close to disaster a couple of times in taking him and Lando out.
He almost did here in the last few laps.
It's the same move every time.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think, I don't see many chinks in Oscar's armor at all. But if there is one, it's that.
Yeah.
His combativeness and engagement with Lando. You don't want to get the wrath of the team if you're making those rash moves. But you've got to think of a different way of getting it done, where you're keeping your car intact and the risk is lower, but the benefits are higher.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, he almost balled it up and took them both out there. That was close, very close. Just a few more inches would have both. That race would have ended in tears for McLaren. He had that slower start than Lando, but he did get in the right position, slid down into P2 through turn 1. Oscar tailed a very quick Leclerc for the first half of the race, and the team chose to do a two-stopper with him. And in doing so, they had like an amazing 1.9 second pit stop, which was fantastic. That's usually Red Bull territory, right? And so that was fantastic. And after that second stop for fresh tires, it left a lot of work to do. He had a 9-second gap to close, and he did. He just unfortunately ran out of laps to make the pass for the win, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. And he, like you said, he had a few lunges down the inside and nearly balled it up. But he said, quote, "It's easy in hindsight to say that the one-stopper would have been quicker, but there was only a second in it, so it was something we'll have to review as a team," end quote. And I think that was sort of the after race, in some of the interviews they're asking, what a one stopper. What do you think, Paul? You think the one stopper would have been a better option for him?
I mean, for taking some drama out of his life, for sure. I mean, as he's saying, on strategy, it's 1 second difference. That's over a 70-lap race. That's minimal, right?
Yeah.
And one little goof up on one turn can swing it both ways.
Right.
So, I mean, I think he did everything he could. I don't think he made any driving mistakes out there, except for, I said, the passing opportunity on Lando. So getting there was typical Oscar.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably the thing to do, but, it just worked out in Lando's favor in the end, but it was awfully close. Do you think if you're ahead of your teammate, you prioritize track position rather than, pace on newer tires? Maybe.
Well, we've seen that several times, haven't we? We've seen whoever's leading, they prioritize that track position over a little bit of what I would assume they would reckon might be a little more of a riskier thing, going for fresh tires and hoping they can make it up. And this probably isn't the track to try that, because passing isn't as easy here.
Right. And the thing is, clean air is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
So if you are going to do that scenario and you can get yourself in clean air, you can make up a lot of time that by not using up your tires, by using a clean air to your advantage. And if you're chasing your teammate, you're not in clean air any of that time.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there, Paul, because McLaren's been very vocal about their cars being best in clean air. And that's where they really make some gains. And I kind of feel like we saw that, right? I mean, Lando was in clean air, 9 seconds adrift of Oscar, and he ended up finishing 21 seconds ahead of Mercedes,
Right.
And that pace sort of come back. So, yeah, it was a good race. Great one, too. Their 200th.
They've got to be close to the champion. Well, maybe it's way too early, but
Yeah,
they're not too worried about it at this point, I'm sure.
No, I wouldn't think so. Let's see. Who are we going to talk about now? Why we're going to? Oh, wrong team. Sorry. That's the right team. Yeah. Mercedes, George Russell P3, Kimi Antonelli P10. Start off with Jorge. Mercedes looked a little bit ragged earlier in the weekend, and I thought, I'm not sure. And that prompted me to make my fantasy GP picks, which last week I nailed Belgium, clawed all the way up to 8th in the championship in our league. Yeah. And I haven't even dared to look where I'm at now because...
You actually did better than me.
Did I? Okay.
You didn't do so bad. Yeah.
All right.
I did not get my picks right at all.
Really? I had the pick Oscar, Lando, Leclerc was my pick. Okay. And a good portion with Oscar closing in on Lando, I thought I might be able to pull it off, and I didn't. Yeah. But I didn't put George there, and because earlier in the weekend they just didn't seem. They certainly weren't showing necessarily the pace that George ultimately had on Sunday. But I think a lot of that could be those cooler temps. Right. And, the cooler it is, the better they do. And the cloud cover certainly provided what George needed there. George did get the jump on Lando at the start. It was on a two-stopper. That left him off the podium after a second stop. But as Leclerc's Ferrari began bleeding pace, George took advantage of that, jumped him like wounded prey, and then made quick work of Charles to secure P3, albeit 21 seconds behind the McLarens. But still, it's another podium for George. You'd think this would support this case that maybe he should be getting a contract signed, but as we head into the break, a signed contract for next year is not what he has, and Mercedes is floating it out in the press that it's all in George's hands now, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's the easy one to lighten the pressure, right, off of them. Yeah. I'm sure there's some scenarios in there that George isn't liking. It's not like they've put a contract for 5 years for George.
No,
because if the rumors are true that Max has just done the 1 year, then I'm sure that's all they're offering.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, and if I'm George, I don't want a 1 year deal.
No, no, he shouldn't take one.
No, he shouldn't.
He needs to protect himself or at least have a multi-year deal where if they want to get rid of him, they've got to pay the piper.
Yeah.
Make them pay for their deal with Verstappen. But yeah, George did a good race. I wouldn't say he made light work of Leclerc because that was quite a tussle.
Well, yeah, he got around him eventually. Yeah, it wasn't light work.
No, it definitely wasn't light work. And Charles
he's a little mad.
Charles was Charles was driving angry, and he was showing it in that. Trying to hold.
He had a lot of red mist going on in there, Paul.
He sure did, yeah. I mean, it was fairly obvious chopping and moving the braking zone, as George was squawking about. It was fairly obvious that was happening.
George had a point, though. Yeah,
for sure.
He had a right to be upset about that. That was pretty dodgy. Yeah, it's such a tough situation because you've got Kimi Antonelli, and he's going to, they need to put him in the oven on 350 for a few hours and let him bake in to where he's going to end up, where they all feel like he's going to be. So you got a junior rookie in there you're trying to develop on a long-term contract. You got George, and you're thinking you might get Max, and you'd like to get Max, but it's one of those things, George doesn't deserve to be a driver treated as just throwing him a stipend on a 1 year deal. I mean, George is he's a lead driver at a good team, and he's performing that. He
is, and I think that the Kimi Antonelli downslide of performance is helping his cause.
I do too.
I think if Kimi was up there riding right in George's rear wing, then George wouldn't have much to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know what Kimi's contract. I don't know what Kimi's contract looks like, but if I were Toto,
I think it's all in crayon.
It might be. If I was Toto, I would sign George to a couple-year contract or whatever it is, and if I ended up getting Max, then I would move Kimi to one of the Mercedes customer teams on loan. And that way I'd have George, Max, and Kimi, right?
Right.
So, but maybe Kimi's contract prevents that anyway. Good race. So let's talk about Kimi. Ran 45 laps on his hard compounds, moved in from P15 to P10, and a point. It's not a lot, but hey, it's a move in the right direction because he's been really struggling a little late, right? And so that was good. He said they reverted to the previous suspension layout, and he said he felt a lot more confident this weekend with the older suspension layout in the car, which is good. But, nothing really to write home about, but it's not a DNF, and he picked up a point.
I think that's the big thing. I mean, he struggled mightily, not even touching on the points, right? So you get 1 point, that's the 3 steps back, that's the 1 step forward again, right?
Yeah.
And being competitive, getting a point, finishing a race.
Right.
I said it's been tough, and rookie drivers are going to go through these ebbs and flows. And certainly with how a team has to be aggressive with setups and trying different things all the time. Sometimes, the more veteran a driver is, more adaptable to those things. A new driver, maybe they're just getting their feet wet one way, and all of a sudden you've just moved the goalposts. So what am I supposed to do now, right?
Right. No, that's exactly right. Let's talk about Ferrari.
It's a shit box.
Can I?
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc, P4. Why is it always my team? I don't understand. Charles Leclerc, P4. Lewis Hamilton, P12. Leclerc. Charles had a good start, able to retain the lead from pole for the first half of the race, and looked to have pace in hand. Even when Oscar tried to reel him in and push, he answered. He got past Oscar and then tried to fend off George at that point, which garnered a penalty for erratic driving. I think it was a 5-second, was it? I don't remember what it was. For erratic driving, and all this happened at the midpoint of the race. So at about the time of the second stop, he lost the lead, then started to bleed pace, leaving him. I guess he was basically on the radio talking in vague terms about some changes that they had made and how he was really upset with that, and they should have left it to him. He would have come up with different decisions on how to handle it. And there was this kind of back and forth. But after the race, he totally walked that back in interviews and said, "Oh yeah, I spoke out of turn. I found out that it was some issue we were having with the chassis." Right. Mm-hmm. Now I'll tell you what was interesting out of that, folks, is that we didn't learn anything from Charles in his post-race, interview. He used to just walk that back. But Sky and Ant Davidson and even Bernie Collins was trying to figure out, what is that? Wait a minute, speculating on what that could have been. Well, it just so happens that I think we did learn what actually was going on, and when they interviewed George. Because they interviewed George and Mercedes, he goes, I think we figure that what was going on is the car was too low and bottoming out, and when he changed to the hard compounds, they put more air pressure in to lift the car up and protect the legality plank, and it cost him a ton of pace, right? And he said that's kind of what they were thinking. And Ant Davison even went back and looked at the first few laps. You see a lot of sparks coming out from underneath that car. Bernie Collins also agreed and said that, and added that perhaps they also, or may have, or maybe this is what they did, they turned the engine mode down a little bit to reduce the straight line speed down the long straights to reduce the amount of downforce that speed would generate. But
well, I don't know if I'm buying that.
I don't know. I'd almost go with the tires, more air pressure to lift the car a little more. But
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe
it could be, but obviously, you bleed off fuel, you bleed off weight, you bleed off,
yes,
some of that ride height a little bit.
Yeah.
And it seems to me it's more like they knew how the balance was going to swing with the lower tanks. And it may be something to do with the tire pressures for sure. And and they knew the car would go a certain way, and Charles evidently had a different way of combating that change in balance,
right,
from the different tire and the different fuel load later in the race. So
and I don't know, I didn't really see during that stop for those hards if they made a front wing adjustment or not. I didn't catch it.
Right. Right.
Maybe there was
either way they got it wrong, and something definitely changed. Yeah. Right. And I wouldn't mind question Ant Davidson, but
right.
different scenarios have different solutions. So.
Yeah, incredibly frustrating because on Saturday I was thinking, my gosh, Charles, you just drove an amazing qualifying lap in a car that couldn't be less interested in pole position. And it was amazing. And I was like, that's awesome. And then when the race started in that whole first half, Paul, I was thinking, as a Ferrari, I was like, yeah, we got pace. I don't know where
waving your Ferrari flag.
Oh, yeah. I was all excited. I thought, man,
you
Charles,
ran outside, told the neighbors, hey,
I know.
turn the F1 race on.
I know. I was out in the yard banging pots and pans. Woo! And then, and then you sit back down and it's like driving like a wounded animal around there. It was terrible to watch.
Yeah, that was a big loss.
And as bad as that was, it wasn't nearly as bad as Lewis Hamilton's weekend, Yeah. Lewis started on the hard compounds, ran along first stint, had a lot of traffic back there in P12. And even though the team switched or used a one-stopper for him, he was unable to make much progress, even being mugged by Max Verstappen in the process. Lewis said he's not where he wants to be, and the optimistic side in me says, well, okay, I get it. He's not happy. But it isn't like Schumacher left Benetton in the first year or two that he showed up in Ferrari. They were winning championships. Right. It took time, right? And I don't know if the Lewis Ferrari recipe needs to bake a little longer in the oven to produce those results like Schumacher got. But, boy, I don't know. I'd say if this doesn't come to fruition, I would say that Lewis's days are numbered in F1, and I think Ferrari spent way too much money for the dream,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on record as saying if I was at Ferrari, I wouldn't have done that. I would have kept Charles, and I'd have brought Ollie in.
I would have kept Sainz, quite honestly.
I would have too. I would have kept Sainz. Yeah, you're exactly right.
I wouldn't have changed anything if I was there. They were having success. Those guys are working well together. The car was moving forward.
I totally agree.
I think the allure of getting Hamilton on the team has kind of made them take some steps back. Yeah. Certainly readjusting to a guy like Lewis in the teams.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, even the relationship with the strategist is weird to be still.
It is.
I mean, it's not very personable. He's like, I'll get on with it, mate, or this. I mean, just that saying is not endearing to a relationship building.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? There's a, oh, hey, mate, how you doing when you see someone, a really good friend, but there's also, oh, hi, mate,
Yeah.
You're a stranger or an acquaintance, and that seems to be the relationship there.
Right.
He always seems a little bit put off by what the guy's saying, and the retorts are not friendly or, as I said, building a positive relationship between them.
No, it doesn't sound like it, and he's been there he's been there, quite a while now.
Right. I mean, he's obviously not getting the results he wants, so maybe that's adding to the aggravation. Yeah. But that's not how you turn it around, and it's a very much different scenario than Schumacher. Obviously, Schumacher was the new wonder kid, right?
Yes.
Lewis is, his days are numbered anyway because of his age.
Yeah.
He's not in it for the long term. He was in it for the short term.
Yep.
And maybe he thought he could turn around. Maybe they thought he could turn around. Maybe, who knows? But he doesn't have a lot of time to do what he wanted to achieve when he got to the team, and you don't know what it's going to be till you start your first day of work.
Yeah.
And there's no going back now, is there?
No, and not everybody can be Fernando Alonso,
Right.
Speaking of Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso P5, Lance Stroll P7. Fernando had a good start, jumped Lando at turn 1, but eventually lost that place to a recovering Lando once Lando got the ship righted. Fernando's mission was always to consolidate that P5 position, no matter how many cars he backed up in a DRS train. It didn't matter to him. He's consolidating P5, and he's a wily old fox, and he would drive to that. He did just that. Some great driving, good defense against his young protege Bordoletto to keep him behind him to come home in P5. So he was limited on tires, so they had to do a one-stop with him, but it worked a treat to come home P5. It was a great result for him.
No, it is a great result, and we know Alonso can get the job done. But what a turnaround for the team, as we talked about at the beginning. maybe is it a one-trick pony car right now, or are they actually making strides? Because obviously it was a pretty bad Spa, and it was a pretty darn good Hungary. So they're all speculating that they don't really know what changed, or why it was working, which is interesting. But I would just look at the layout of the track, and that's where your answers lay.
Yeah, Lance said that first when I was putting the notes together. I'd read Lance's thing. Lance lost a spot to Bordoletto at the start, and that's kind of where he finished in P7. But irrespective, that's a great result for Lance up in P7. Good points, right? And Lance said that they have a lot to learn, as they don't fully understand why they were so competitive in Hungary. And I just thought, well, that's odd. I would think that the team knew, or at least knows where their strengths were from Friday onward. But to be fair from Lance, Fernando said the same thing after the race. They don't quite know exactly why the upgrades didn't work at Spa and where they worked a treat here. So, kind of an interesting position for them to be in. But that's why you do some forensic engineering, reverse engineering, to figure out what was working there.
Yeah. There's something in the correlation. I mean, usually teams know, okay, it's a short circuit. Maybe our car's a bit draggy, but it does make more downforce. This should be a good track for us, etc. But they seemed a bit more shocked than you would expect for a Formula One team at that level. Yeah,
I would think so too. It's like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast. You were heading to Road America, and you felt you'd do good there because you know your car and you know the track, and you've been there before. And same rules apply here, right? So anyway. I am hugely excited about Sauber. What a great result for Gavir Bordoletto in P6. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Nico down in P13, a little bit more of a punchy race, but for Gabi, my gosh, had a decent start, which caught the eye of race control, but he didn't jump the start, and he jumped Lance Stroll at turn 1, extended his roll of good races. He's had a string of them now. Another terrific P6, did a very nice job on holding Max off early on. And, he said, well, you're trying to hold a guy like Max off is really hard. And but he did, And then he kept Lance behind him for the entire race. Tried to get around Fernando. That was always going to be difficult. But a very good run for a rookie, and in my mind, he's really starting to reach those Hadjar level of applause for his rookie debut. A bit of a slow burn at the start, of the season, and you and I just haven't maybe even seen. He's highly rated for sure, but just wasn't quite seeing it. But boy, I think we are now.
Yeah, I think he's really grown with the team. It's not just all Bordoletto, but. A rookie's always going to come in there like that. But I think the team's progression, which we've seen from Hulkenberg's results, and he's really taken to it. He seems like he's a very good learner. He's got good racecraft. He's got a good teacher by Alonso. They always seem to be ending up on the same piece of track recently, so that's even more fun for him.
Yeah.
I guess he's friendly with Max or whatever, if you want to believe what the people on the TV are saying. So he's obviously a personable guy too.
I think so.
That bodes well. He's fast, personable. He's the kind of guy that teams want to keep along, and so he's really carving a name for himself to stay in Formula One for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just elated for this team, Paul. You and I have been Sauber fans since the beginning. I mean, we've always liked Sauber and what Peter.
I remember that Timo used to be down at the F3 school. He used to work at Sauber. So
yeah. Your buddy used to work there, and we've always loved that team, and Peter Sauber and all that, and to see all the men and women,
real racers. Yeah,
they are. They're real racers, and see all the men and women at Hinwil start to get back and get the team moving. And I got also, I think. I don't want to overplay this, but I think we're starting to see some impact there from Jonathan Wheatley, from Mattia Binotto.
Right.
Those are two gentlemen that know how to win races and know what a team should be doing and not doing, And I think we're starting to see some of that manifest itself in some of these results with a driver as talented as Nico and Gabi at this point. So, super excited.
I mean, Sauber, they've been, young driver creators. You've seen Kimi and Massa and Benlinger and, there were all kinds of people. They were a really good place for young drivers to begin their Formula One careers, and seems to be continuing for sure.
Yeah, Nico start penalized for a false start. At first, it looked like it, and then I think when I went back and watched it, boy, I had a hard time exactly seeing the false start. So it must have been. I mean, we're talking about very small margins here, because I don't know that I could see it when I went back and later looked at it. But he stopped first, and the undercut worked a treat for him because it was powerful there.
Mm-hmm.
But then a second stop put him toward the back. He had to make up several spots to finish up in P12, so not a great result for him. But he had some battles going on back there.
Yeah, I think they gave it a go. It was really hard coming from that far back, as we saw Lewis struggle also.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the first strategy worked really well, but in the end, there was no way he was going to make those tires last for that long. And then you got to battle through that midfield, which is so tough.
Yeah, it sure is. Racing Bulls, Liam Lawson P8, Isaac Hadjar P11. With Liam, it's another PA for Liam, who I think is another rookie. Or was, he is a rookie, but he's not. But he is, one of those things. But I think he's starting to show some real pace at Racing Bulls. He besting not only his much vaunted teammate Isaac Hadjar, but also beating Max Verstappen this weekend. And, a great result. And I know Max was hobbled, but still, Max in a hobbled car, has a good shot for a podium, So
usually, I picked him still be on the podium because you can never underestimate him.
I know you can't. And but Liam had a great race. Yeah, couldn't hold off Max in the end of the first half, but he did manage to keep him behind in the second half, and the team one-stopped both cars against Max's two-stoppers, so that helped him out. Good result, decent form. It's got to be a little confidence building for him. He went to Red Bull, got the stuffing beat out of him. They quickly shoved him back down for Yuki. Came in here, Isaac Hadjar was riding a wave of great results, and everybody's like, yeah, Isaac's the man, and here's poor Liam over there. But I kind of think it's these kinds of results. He had a couple P8s here. He's in the points. He was ahead of Isaac, finished ahead of Matt. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to read too much in it, but it's got to help his confidence a little bit.
No, it's absolutely got to, and he has been doing a steady, consistent job of matching Isaac, and obviously he got the better results this week as well, which is great because it could have gone very, very wrong after he got kicked out of Red Bull. But interesting to me that there were no team orders to let Max by in that second half.
Me too. It's
like,
I didn't hear him.
Is this the change in the Red Bull philosophy now?
Yeah. Is that how Laurent Mekies is going to roll?
Yeah, I mean, normally you'd expect it, right?
Yes,
and,
you would.
And Liam would have to coerce, but
in the past, that would have happened.
That would have happened.
Absolutely.
And maybe they're like, well, it doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe. That's their attitude, but usually every point matters.
Yeah.
When they used to do their fastest laps and all that kind of stuff, they literally every point was precious. So, yeah, just an interesting thought there when I was watching that.
Yeah,
they didn't allow him by because how far was Liam behind the next guy?
I don't remember, but Max was only a few tenths behind Liam towards the end.
Right, so you'd have thought they'd just let him go.
Yeah. I was waiting for the call, but it never came, or I didn't hear it. So yeah, I was a little surprised at that too. Let's see, Isaac. Isaac had a slow start, dropped him out of the points early on. Also got hit by gravel on the hand, Paul. That's got to hurt like hell.
Yeah, for sure.
That's got to hurt. I don't know if they got some more padding they can put there without impeding their ability to drive. But then he had the honor of having a lot of blue flags. Having to pull over for that. He said, unfortunately, we didn't get a great launch at the start. I gave it everything on lap 1, but got overtaken and ended up getting stuck behind other cars. I think he got sucked up into the DRS train back there, and a lot of blue flags made it for a tough day for Isaac.
Yeah, it is tough. Those gravel strips, they work great to eliminate constant track limits, which is I'm fully in favor of.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if there's another idea out there going along these lines where you're not just throwing a bunch of stones on the track.
Right.
Because, I mean, that's an issue, right?
It is.
I haven't found the solution. I was going to talk to Bo about it this week, the race director for IMSA, but I haven't got his opinion on it. But
Yeah.
I'd like to see something similar, but not the same.
Yeah, I wonder if you could put him like fill him with crumb rubber or something, you know? I mean, if little pieces of rubber got back on the track, not the end of the world.
Right.
But it's crumb rubber.
Just scrape all the clag off the previous session, just throw it in the hole.
Throw it in the hole and put all crumb rubber there. And, it's not going to hurt the tire. It's crumb rubber, but it's not going to adhere. You're going to slip.
Right. It's still going to slip, yeah.
Yeah, but even if it gets on the track, well, that's fine. That's like driving offline,
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, let's see. Red Bull. Boy.
What does it all mean, Basil?
I don't know. I don't know what it all means. Max Verstappen P8, Yuki Tsunoda P17. Max dropped a place at the start, then regained the position, but stalled out once he got behind Gabi Sauber. He boxed early, later wasn't happy about it, but then when they were considering converting to a one-stopper, when he was running up in P5, but that gambit just, I don't think it was in the cards. He had stopped too early really to make a one-stopper of viability. So the team boxed him again, and initially, after he came out, Paul, he started coming through the traffic. And I thought, okay, maybe he's going to claw his way up, trying to go for the podium. But once he got past a few cars, he just kind of stalled out there behind Liam. And and then he was summoned to the stewards after the race for his pass on Lewis. I don't think a penalty was given, but anyway, right. It seemed like he made a lot. Watching him, he had a lot of pace at the beginning. Then he didn't. Then he boxed. Then he had pace, and then he didn't. It was just kind of a yo-yo.
Yeah, I think just the car was not very good.
Yeah,
and Max was able to rise above it a little bit here and there, and with two or three big lunges. That got him some positions. I mean, that's kind of what Max has defined himself in the races, and cars will tend to give him more leeway than some others because they know he's coming anyway, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was interesting that the penalty with Lewis, or the non-penalty with Lewis, is because he literally lunged and stuck his nose in there, and Lewis had every right to turn. Lewis chose not to turn because he didn't want to crash. But
right.
does that, and Max was like, well, we didn't even touch. Well, is that the difference between the right or wrong, that you have a clash? Does the driver on the outside have to allow the collision to happen for there to be a penalty, or is that just a far too late lunge to make it viable? I thought he was lunging too late personally, but everyone kind of got out of his way, and that's kind of the stage he set for himself. So all power to him. But I don't know if that's the rule. I don't think it's correct. I think that the intent rather than the outcome should be the letter of the law.
I agree. Yeah, I've argued that for years. You can't penalize outcomes. You got to penalize the intent, to have a standard. I mean, because in this case, it wasn't like he just he dived down. He just did a dive bomb down the inside, braked late, and they both ran wide. Because he drifted out to the end, and they both ran. He made the corner. I mean, he
made the corner. Yeah,
he dove in, totally made the corner, totally on the apex. From his perspective, he did it. But
right,
according to the
but he made the corner. He used all the exit because Lewis kind of bailed out because he saw him on his left rear tire and didn't want to have the collision happen.
Yeah, I mean, wisely so.
Knows what Max is capable of.
Yeah, wisely so. I mean, Lewis didn't want to ball it up right there, and he saw him in the middle and gave him room.
Yeah.
I think it was the right move from Lewis's perspective. He had every right to hold on to the steering wheel and take the apex, and they would have hit.
And they would have hit.
Yeah, and to the current regs, I guess, the front axle has to be at the other car's mirror.
I thought it was the mirror.
Yeah, the mirror. Yeah.
Which it really wasn't.
It wasn't.
No.
But there again, did they say, well, it wasn't, but he made the turn, it wasn't.
Yeah,
like
he made the turn, and Lewis just turned away to avoid the collision.
Right.
Is that right? Wrong?
No, that's outcome based penalties.
Yeah. And I'm one to talk. when I was racing more heavily, that's in sometimes I would use those tactics. You would use those tactics to make sure that people knew who you were and what you would or wouldn't do, and that sometimes made passes easier for you, made people get out of the way because they're like, oh, geez, I know he's going to stick it in no matter what, right? And it's a gray area of racing craft, honestly. Yeah. I'm not saying Max is wrong per se. I'm just saying that they can't judge it on the fact that Lewis turned out of the collision.
Right. Yeah, if he'd have gotten like Charles like a 5-second penalty or something, it wouldn't have surprised me. I felt like the pass was on because he made it and he made the corner, but that's only because Lewis gifted him space to make it.
And it happened with the other two passes, the big lunges too. Those guys, he wasn't that far alongside, but they literally just kind of gave him the room, and maybe that's what he's earned.
Well, that was Schumacher, right?
Right.
You had a red Ferrari behind you. You better make room, and everybody knew it, So that's kind of what it is. You can start from the pit lane, and in Hungary, that leaves a heck of a lot of work to do when you start in the pit lane. And he said they lost a gurney flap mid-race on his wing.
That's bizarre.
So that didn't help things.
And that's a big loss.
That is a big loss. Yeah. Yeah, he did have a tussle with Hulkenberg, but that was about it. Finished at the back. Very tough.
Yep.
He said once they'd lost that gurney flap, fell off halfway, it cost him a lot of pace and worsened grip. And he said our race was over. Yeah.
No doubt it is over. Probably would have been better to retire the car like he did with Bierman. It's a massive loss of downforce.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know what to say about basically Yuki's just keeping that seat warm for the whole year, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Not really doing much.
Right. Let's see, Williams. You got Alex Albon P15, Carlos Sainz P14. Alex started on softs and gobbled up 3 places early on. He couldn't find much more than that, though, Paul, as he, like Carlos, was stuck in the DRS train, and the strategy really didn't help matters for him. So he ended up down P15. He said, I came into this weekend optimistic. I felt like we're a little bit exposed around this track, and the car didn't really suit it. We really struggled in the race more than I thought we would. We need to do our homework because I know we would do a better job if we had another go at it. So, yeah.
So sounds like they just went down a road that just didn't pay off in the end. I mean, we wouldn't expect this to be Williams's track, but
no.
in recently, they're not just a one-trick pony car either, and so they have surprised us on occasion. But so that's a shame for those guys to be floundering around back there. They're definitely better than that.
Yeah, Carlos had a tough race too, starting on softs, getting ensnared in the DRS train. He had an altercation with Gasly. That didn't help matters. He said that they tried to do one stop, but that was probably too optimistic, going from soft to the hard. But we tried to do something different before switching to the 2-stop. So tough race for them. Even tougher for our friends over at Haas, F1. Esteban Ocon P16, Ollie Behrman a DNF. Esteban tried the one-stopper, which meant he had to run 55 laps on his hard compounds, Paul. Unfortunately, everybody on fresher tires made quick work of him, leaving him down to P17. Quite surprising to me that they didn't have more pace than this here. I'm not quite sure why.
I don't know. I mean, we know they have a lot of Ferrari parts, rear suspension, all that kind of stuff. So as Ferrari floundered, maybe Haas floundered too, although, there's been some separation of that as we've gone along here. They've left that Ocon out with old tires a few times.
Yeah, they have.
He might be getting a bit fed up with that.
He might. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, Ollie had a better race going until he didn't. He was up in the midfield, and then he got floor damage, had to retire the car. So that was bad.
Yeah, they didn't say how he got the floor damage, though, huh? Probably just running off a curb or something.
Yeah, and I put it in this quote. I thought his quote would say it. I don't think he did. He said, we managed to run in P10 for the first stint, but I was really clinging on the whole way. I was really struggling with the feeling of the car, and I had massive oversteer throughout. It progressed in the second stint, picking up some damage or picking up some damage somewhere because we saw a big drop in the loads, and by that point it was clear that we couldn't finish the race. So
yeah, so I'd say he probably must have had a moment.
Curb or something. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And then we get down to Alpine. Our friends down at Alpine, Pierre Gasly, P19, Franco Colapinto, P18. Pierre was on a one-stopper. He got a 10-second penalty for his incident with Sainz. No doubt this track does not like the Alpine at all.
Friendly.
It's not friendly at all.
No, and it's not even an engine track, which is more surprising.
No, I know. Because if it did slightly like the Alpine, Pierre would have hustled that thing up into, a better position. But but you could tell getting that penalty and stuff, he's probably not happy. He's probably all elbows out there.
Yeah, no.
It was a tough race. Tough for Franco, too. Franco boxed early for a two-stopper, but the second stop, like Max, really didn't, that left him at the back. And he was trying to claw his way back on track that just doesn't really offer that kind of move from the very back all the way through, and certainly in an Alpine. And they said on the broadcast, I don't have any reason to disbelieve them, but they said that this particular track, it takes 0.8 speed delta to make a pass there. So, I don't know. After stopping the second time to cover up Carlos, he ended up in the same zip code as Carlos, which was at the back.
Yeah.
So not good.
Is this the last we still of Franco Colapinto?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know. It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Get out of the car.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll see.
Flavio won't sit on things just because.
I don't think so. It's not Flavor Flav's way, man. That's not how he rolls.
It's not.
So, let's do some awards. This is what we do in a podcast, Paul. We're going to do the first award. We tend to like this award because it's not just like pass of the race. It's the overall move of the race. What was the move during the race that actually made the race for Paul and I, anyway? I had, and I think you have, so I'll share it jointly. I think we both had Lando switch to a one-stopper. Did we not?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's the most powerful game changer of the whole race. Right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean, but it's one, as I always say, it's one thing to have the decision, it's the other thing to execute the decision that was made, and Lando did a great job of that. So it was.
You think it was heads up from the team, right time to make that, and how they managed that and let him run long to make that one-stopper work. So there was a lot of great strategy at the team, but then you also think Lando executed it perfectly. Yeah,
I think he did. He did nearly up at Piastri, really managed the tyres as, all the way to the finish line. Worked your way back from the finish and figured how much he had to use up.
Yeah.
Smart stuff.
I thought those last two laps, man, he's crabbing across the road. And I don't know if he was harvesting battery and just, that one time, not the lap that Oscar was right on his tail that lunged down, but the lap before. Yeah. I was watching him. They come around that last turn, and man, Lando got a massive jump out of that apex, Yeah. And I was like, whoa! And Oscar didn't have a chance even with DRS to get that close. So he was driving his backside off there. He really was.
Yeah.
That was good.
He really was. Did a great job.
It was really fun to watch. Let's see. Next award is something we call Donkey of the Race. Now, this is a little bit different. This is the other side. This was the move that really we thought was the donkey of the whole race. Paul, who'd you have?
I got Red Bull.
That's a worthy recipient of the Donkey Award because... because the whole race, you're just over there. What the hell? What's going on?
What the hell? I mean, we've become accepting the fact that Red Bull can't put out a second car, but now it appears to not be able to put the first car out either.
Right. Yeah. They can't get the first car back on the podium. Yeah, that's tough. Well, I hate to say this. I really do. It's just, I don't know. It pains me as a Ferrari fan, but I give it to Ferrari.
Yeah.
That was bad. I think even John Elkann was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. every time, I'm sure John's a delightful guy, but every time I see him, he looks like a 28-year-old fraternity guy at Yale.
He does. He does. See, we got the right name.
I know.
Elkins.
I know. It's amazing.
Elky's in town.
Elky. Hey, go tap the keg, man. It's bizarre. So anyway, all right. Well, then we hand out one other award. Oh, yeah.
It's in there, Lewis. You like my bass? You like it?
Yes, we do.
I think we do, yeah.
Yeah, we like it. What'd you have? Driver of the race, Paul?
I got Gabriele.
Nice choice.
Yes.
Nice choice. I think that was worthy. Didn't he win? I think he won the vote, didn't he, for F1.com?
Did he? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because they congratulated him. He was extremely happy after that race, as he should have been.
As he should have been, yes. Yeah, as he should have been. A great recipient. I know Charles drifted backwards, but I think he had an incredible weekend.
Yeah.
I know he was mad, and he got really dodgy with George and stuff, and that's just because he's mad as hell. But I think what a qualifying. Fernando, I think, had a great run. But anyway, I'm going to give it to our man Lando.
Yeah.
Here's what I say to Lando.
You're getting the hang of this, Lando.
I think he did a great job. Like you said just a moment ago, Paul, that execution was perfect for that one stopper, and he pulled it off, and he, trying to keep Oscar Piastri behind you on fresh tires, that can't be easy, and I don't care who you are, right?
Yeah.
That had to be tough.
Not at all. Not at all. It's the game you got to bring to win a world championship. I'll tell you that. So.
Exactly. All right, Paul, before we bail out of this podcast, where's Heart of Racing going next?
Well, I've got this weekend off.
Wow.
Then I'm going back to Road America for SRO.
Oh, SRO. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the month of Wisconsin.
Nice.
So we'll go back with the Hannahs and the GT3 car with Darren.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Gray.
So and they've been turning up the pace. 2 podiums last time. So look forward to it. I mean, as you know, it's one of my favorite tracks.
It is.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And so I'm always happy to go there.
And where's the Valkyrie racing next?
Valkyrie has got Indianapolis, actually.
Ah, okay.
Oh, unless you count the WEC. The WEC race is at the end of this month at COTA.
At COTA, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So all our
friends...
It's
on the US, but not part of the IMSA circuit,
Yeah, so all of our friends down in the South, you can go watch the WC race with the Valkyrie down at COTA.
Two Valkyries.
2 Valkyries, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Will you be there?
I will not.
Okay.
I got to be in Alabama at the SRO race.
Okay. Gotcha.
The clash.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but thanks to all of you that found Paul at the race weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Keep it up. Fun.
Yeah, love it. I'm always jealous because Paul meets more of our listeners than I ever do. So I'm totally jealous. But anyway, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. We could not and would not do this podcast without you. And we're very, very appreciative. If you like this podcast, share it with a friend, tell people about it, share it on social media. If you watch us on YouTube, hit the like and bell. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit the like and bell down there and subscribe. We'd appreciate it as always. And that would be great if you want to share your opinion. We're always up for that. You can do that on our socials, or you can go to theparkferme.com and you can do that there. And you can also support us with merch, right? A couple people out there picked up the Belgian Grand Prix, that shirt that I made, and that's good. And got some fun stuff over there. You can do that. And we will be back. I'm going to go find Grace, and I'm sure she's got something to tell us about MotoGP. Actually, there is a Formula One tie-in with MotoGP. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, but I won't waste it here. We'll save it for next week with Grace because it's bound to be a fun story. And we'll do that. So, Paul, enjoy your weekend off, my friend.
Thank you.
And we will be. While. Yes, it has. So with that, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Cam here. We'll see you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.